about 13 years ago when Jairam Ramesh, in his own words, faced opposition from within the UPA government, from within the Congress party for the very open lobbying, if you can call it that, for some of these firms. He was very pro some of the Chinese companies coming into India and setting up the units. And these are companies like Huawei, which pose a huge threat to national security. Countries like America have very strong views on companies like companies like Huawei. And he's put out a tweet as well. I'll try and go across to the Surface device to show you the tweet of Mahesh Jethmalani. This is the tweet that Mahesh Jethmalani put out this morning, saying that since 2005, Jairam Ramesh has been lobbying for Chinese telecom company Huawei's activities in India. And he puts out this excerpt of a book. He says Huawei has been banned in several countries as a security threat. Jairam now questions government of India's stand. It behoves him to disclose his Huawei links. And this is the link that he's put out. If you can zoom out, please zoom out. Zoom out, and I'll read out from this article. This is an excerpt from a book. He says here that no doubt wary of China, and in January 2003, Mr. Jaswant Singh set diplomacy aside and poo-pooed Chinese statistics. The Chinese feel that India is being unnecessarily obstructive in the matter of granting business visas and in approving Chinese FDI and contracts won in public tenders. The Chinese networking major Huawei Technologies has a sizable presence in Bangalore and wants to expand, much to the discomfiture of Indian security agencies. So this was what Mahesh Jethmalani said while quoting Jairam Ramesh to Jairam Ramesh, while driving that point home, that the Congress party and Jairam Ramesh especially is very, very close to the Chinese, too close for comfort, and also trying to draw a link between Jairam Ramesh's pro-Huawei, pro-China firms, and these are firms that we know are owned by some of the people who are close to the Chinese Communist Party, who have served in the Chinese PLA. Countries like America have a very strong stand on firms like Huawei, claiming that firms like Huawei have been a national security threat. Has been the biggest debate in India for the last 2 decades, whether or not these Chinese firms should be allowed into India. And he also put out details of how, when the UPA was in power, there was a huge debate on whether Chinese firms can be allowed to supply the hardware to companies like BSNL. So imagine the situation if that had happened, if the Chinese were allowed to override and push their hardware into our telecom industry. And that's the big story. This is the link that they've drawn, and they're raising questions on why Jairam Ramesh is making, or rather made, such comments, and why he took such a stand, and whether he will declare his association or his interest in Chinese companies like Huawei. And this is coming, of course, on the back of comments made, back-to-back comments made, on China, the face-off at the LAC in Tawang, and then you have this comment. Back then, Rahul Gandhi said that our soldiers were beaten. Even when there have been face-offs in the last 3 to 4 years, the kind of stand that they've taken, continue to meet the Chinese officials and continue to contradict India's stand on China, took a very sympathetic China line. And now when people like Digvijay Singh say things like Pulwama was engineered, and asks questions about the circumstances under which 40 of our brave hearts were martyred, pro-China, pro-Pakistan links being questioned. And I think the point they're trying to drive home, coming on the back of the MOU that the Vadra Congress has signed with the Chinese Communist Party, the party-to-party deal that they have with Xi Jinping's party, increasingly coming under the scanner once again. And there are details that have come out in the past that show how the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, the RGF, also took funds from the Chinese embassy. And these are very, very uncomfortable facts that the Vadra Congress can't ignore or can't hide from. Funding from the Chinese, MOU with the Chinese, lobbying, in the words of Mahesh Jethmalani, lobbying for firms like Huawei, as confessed by Jairam Ramesh in his own words, that he wanted firms like Huawei to have perhaps a major role in India and Indian telecom industry. So